Hello, hello. Welcome to day 9 of Rhythm Over Intensity. Today's question is, what does healthy power look like in relationships? Now, I think the tagline of the series at this point should be, I have grappled with this for ages. And I've been mulling this over as I've not had time to film, like due to work and some health challenges. I kept going back and forth about this topic, and to begin with, the word power is definitely something I struggle with. The association I have with power is one of power over instead of power with. And I've sat with that topic on its own for the last few weeks. And as well with this idea that relationships can be powerful and empowering. And on one hand, I've had good experiences in relationships. I've also definitely, unfortunately, experienced plenty of situations where it was very much power was used over me, rather used with me to empower, to enrich the relationship. So when I think of healthy power in relationships, the first ones that come to mind are romantic relationships. Obviously, we have friendships, we have family relationships, but the most potent ones that come to mind for me are romantic ones. And I'm still kind of struggling to name healthy power that I've experienced in past relationships. In my most recent one, I definitely have, but in ways I think I was maybe not yet ready to receive that. So what I will talk about is how I would like healthy power to look like in my future relationships, be that romantic ones or friendships. And also the struggle to receive that, the struggle to allow someone to empower you without worrying about betrayal. In short, in my life experience, I've had people, specifically parental figures, my dad, who on one hand was one of the most empowering presences in my entire life. So much of who I am as a young woman is thanks to him. So much of my audacity, my charisma, my curiosity, my forward drive in life and my ambition are thanks to him. He instilled that and cultivated it throughout my life. And on the other hand, this was also the man who hurt me the most, from emotional abuse to physical abuse to genuine betrayal of trust. Caveat is that the man is bipolar. Not to say that this is how bipolar people are, but as he struggled throughout his 30 years of dealing with it in a Russian, Soviet, Eastern European medical system, it definitely brought us challenges. So I think when I think of healthy power, I definitely struggle, because as much as I lean into this empowerment and this receiving, as I expand my capacity, it becomes easier and I rewrite the story, but the underlying story that I am rewriting in the process is one of coexisting realities of empowerment and disempowerment very strongly intertwined together. So I think what I'll try to do here as I'm figuring this out, as I'm talking to you, is perhaps what I would like to keep from the empowerment I received and what I would like to rewrite and no longer include in my reality. What I would like healthy power to look like in relationships is being uplifted, is being led, being guided, being instructed, being held. Moments where you're actively weak and immensely vulnerable, and someone is choosing to hold you. And they have in that moment all of the power, because you're in such a fragile state, such a sensitive state. But they're choosing to bring forth that power to create safety, to hold you. I'd want power in my relationships to look like when someone knows more than me, that they joyfully and calmly instruct me. They guide me through it. Maybe with a little bit more awareness of, well, that would be me needing to bring that conversation to a partner or a friend that, like, I get threatened by someone being better at me than something. I get threatened by someone being better at something than me. And to instruct and to just attune, to be like, hey, give me a moment to ground, to just let this feeling pass as I'm receiving knowledge from you. I'd want someone to share their power, to be grounded in it. I would want to, within myself, be grounded and share my power, the things I do know, the things I've lived through, the experiences and wisdom I've gained. And for myself, to catch myself that I'm not doing so from a place of thinking I'm better than someone. I've definitely fallen into that trap quite a bit in the past, and I do think I've gotten much better. And I think, still catch myself sometimes feeling like I have the upper hand. And it's not a proud thing to admit, but the fastest way to growth is through truth. So in admitting it, I am at least bringing it to light. I'd want to be able to surrender myself in the most vulnerable, exposed way to someone. To be weak, to be broken, and for that person to have the power, the capacity to hold that, to be with that experience, to be witnessed by someone who is able to do that. And in turn, I want to be able to receive people, friends or romantic partners, in their fullness, in their vulnerability, and for me to hold the power of a safe space, the power of groundedness and non-judgment. I'd want for people around me to be able to be so vulnerable and exposed, while also knowing they can be. Nothing will be used against them. They are loved and received exactly as they are, in all of their pain, and all the pain that we think makes us ugly and unlovable, in reality just makes us human. I'd want to be in this dance with people of relating, of connecting, of moments where I'm vulnerable, moments when the other person is vulnerable, and maybe at the same time, but finding ways to have power and groundedness to be held in the human experience. When I think now of healthy power in relationships, it is the ability, the opportunity to be so completely vulnerable and exposed in ways you might have not been with yourself, while knowing in your body that you are held and you are accepted and you are loved exactly as you are. And that you are not too much for this person. Sometimes we are too much for people, as a side note, that it's not that we're too much, it's that the people don't have the capacity to hold the fullness of our experience. And that's okay, but it's important to be around people that can hold that. And we do so, we find those people by first learning to hold ourselves and others more fully. And so I would want to be in a place within myself where if a partner or a friend comes to me with something, that I don't make their pain about me. That I am able to be with the fullness of their experience, unflinchingly, groundedly, and receive them as they are, and to provide genuine comfort in witnessing. This feels like a very vulnerable topic. I'm someone who, in some very deep ways, struggles to be seen by others. On one hand, I'm a very open person, and I've received many a feedback about that. And on the other hand, when it comes to the pains I'm genuinely struggling with in the moment, especially if it gets really dark and really heavy, I hide from the world really aggressively. I imagine myself to be unlovable and to be shameful, to be just too much, and so many things that the words don't come to mind right now, but I find myself feeling like I'm the worst thing to have been born when I'm so consumed and overwhelmed by my pain that in the moment that I need the reaching out most is the moment I tend to run away. So my healthy power in my relationship with myself is reaching out to others when this pain is overwhelming, when it's too much. And I think through cultivating that, I then allow more opportunities for others to stand in their power, to hold space, to practice being the ground presence that someone might need, to give them the opportunity and privilege of seeing something raw and real. Because in our world, there's so much closed offness. People are so closed off from themselves and each other that to glimpse something raw and pure is a privilege, is a gift. Being trusted with someone's emotions, with someone's vulnerability is a gift and a privilege. And is then also important, depth without drowning. Within myself, as I reach out to others, I make sure I've done my best to fill my own cup, but then lean on others in a way where I'm not expecting them to save me, but to simply be with me, to lend me their nervous system, to lend me a shoulder, and to allow myself to simply be with another person in the fullness of my human experience. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.